A marvelous night on Comic Book Canon. Get it? Welcome to Comic Book Canon. It is Friday, and it is a day we have been asking for quite a while. MCU news, finally. It was an onslaught of news, and we are super excited to be here. My partner in crime, Chris, is excited to be here as well. Is that right? There you go.
What's
you
going
are
on?
pumped.
I'm bouncing.
You are bouncing to that fresh beat. Absolutely.
We should have the Rocky theme music in the background because I'm just
we can't afford the rights to license that.
Yeah, that's true.
Just letting you know. Sorry to disappoint. But we do have a packed show that will entertain us and hopefully the audience as well. We got tons of Marvel news. We got Matt, the boy who had 7 here, giving us his all in. Super excited about that. We also have a new segment with Tom Tormey, a.k.a. Cosmic History, giving us a good nugget of history juiciness. And we also have the top 10 hottest comics of the week and much more. It's a packed show. Super psyched to be here. Super psyched y'all are here. We should just get started because I am super excited to just talk about what happened this week. Aren't you, Chris?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Let's get to it.
Let's do it. All right. Marvel. I'm a big Marvel fan, and man, was this an announcement for the age of the pandemic. Guys, if you have been sitting there thirsting for some kind of Marvel goodness, Marvel Studios has announced that they are casting King the Conqueror for Ant-Man 3. Woo! All right, guys, check this out. So actor Jonathan Majors, star of HBO's Lovecraft Country, has been confirmed to join the cast of Ant-Man 3, but Marvel themselves has not confirmed a specific role. Deadline has reported that Majors will indeed be playing one of Marvel's oldest nemesis, shall I say, Kang the Conqueror. Now, guys, if you had tuned into my channel earlier this week, now we received this news on Wednesday, but if you tuned in to Journo's Comics on Monday, and you were saying, what are these hot books that I should be specking on this week? I really hope you jumped on what I was talking about. Because, guys, I was in my clairvoyant zone. Jeff, should we roll it? Number 2 on the list, Avengers 8, the first appearance of Kang the Conqueror. Now, Kang is I mean, there's already been talk. When we knew that the Fox acquisition went through, and we knew that Fantastic Four was coming home under the Marvel Studios umbrella, you know, you look at all these antagonists that you could bring forth, you know, Galactus, Doom, and then Kang is another one. Right there. And guys, I went on to say that this is inevitable. Kang is inevitable. 2 days later, we got the announcement. So, you know, little slight of a, you know, pat on the back, but I think, you know, a lot of us have been talking about it. Ironically, I just happened to do that video 48 hours in advance. So hopefully you guys pulled out your $3,000 already that you had just sitting around in your pocket to hop on that one, because it's probably like from there. But yeah, I mean, you know, Jeff, this is great news. You know, we did have Peyton Reed, the director of Ant-Man, come out and say that this film is going to be much, much bigger. And boy, I mean, Kang
the Conqueror. This is a perma grin on my face. This is the news we've been waiting for. We wanted MCU news. We got it. You know, it's pretty big with Kang the Conqueror. We don't know what the plans are with him, but the plans are, I mean, it's limitless with this guy, considering the time travel, considering the fact that he's crossed paths with the Fantastic Four. He's crossed paths with the Avengers. They're bringing him into Ant-Man, and as you say, Peyton Reed is looking to go bigger and better for this next film. This is definitely going bigger, bringing in that element of time travel, the dimension of just a dominant kind of villain. I'm super psyched to hear about this. It wasn't quite out of left field because people have been talking about this character, such as yourself. But man, I just love it. I love it.
Absolutely. And, you know, we were talking about it, but this is somebody that I could see being an antagonist that is a bit of like a Loki, where, you know, you can build him up through multiple films, but it's a bigger lead up that can lead to somebody like Galactus, you know, where we had Loki. We built Loki up to the first Avengers movie, but then obviously Loki was a key player building up to the Infinity Saga with Thanos. So this is definitely not a one and done villain in my opinion. If he's introduced in Ant-Man 3, you know, we're going to see him later down the line facing off a Fantastic Four. It's just that's got to be inevitable as well. And I just think this is a move that just speaks to where the MCU is heading. And, you know, I don't know about you, Jeff, but there's so many critics out there that said, oh, after Endgame, I'm done with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is just getting started.
Absolutely. And it's only going to get, I mean, just exciting times here, guys. Let's get through this pandemic because, as you said a few weeks ago, it's just going to be an onslaught of nonstop, like just content that we love and we've been waiting for. But speaking of content that we love and we have been waiting for, finally, a trailer to Mandalorian Season 2. Super exciting. Let's just roll it and then we'll talk about it. How does that sound?
Show me the one whose safety deemed such destruction. You must reunite it with its own kind.
Where?
This you must determine. The songs of eons past tell of battles between Mandalore the Great and an order of sorcerers called Jedi.
You expect me to search the galaxy and deliver this creature to a race of enemy sorcerers?
This is the way.
You know this is no place for a child. Wherever I go, he goes. So I've heard. This is the way.
Yeah, that looks about amazing. I mean, like, come on, If you're like, nah, I'm not too into it after seeing that trailer. I don't understand you. I don't.
Yeah. Hey, you know, another thing that was funny is 2 weeks ago when we got the news of the release date, you asked if we were going to get a trailer the next week, and I was like, nah, I give it 2 weeks, and here we are. So
you called it again. You called it again. Let's start laying. We got NFL this week, and let's start laying down those bets too.
Right. There is this is like, look. You look at Mandalorian Season 1, and it's almost like a back to basics, right? You know, you start with this foundation, and it's like if you're building a foundation of the house, and you go and you look, and you see the foundation built, and you say, I see it, and it feels good. You see what's happening. This is the house. This is, I mean, it's building up so much on that because and we talked about how Favreau said in a interview last week how this Season 2, when you want to talk about, you know, making things bigger, just like Ant-Man, for the Mandalorian to take an approach in this season to just take the world of Star Wars to such different avenues where it's going to just expand. I see that happening. I see them doing it in such a great way that one thing that stands out to me, I don't know about you, is really bringing in the Jedi into this. And I'll tell you, I mean, we know when this is post Return of the Jedi. The Jedi are dead, except for Luke. So if he's having to return the child to the Jedi, who are they talking about?
Who could that be, Chris? Tell me.
Well, I mean, you know, we know that Luke Skywalker exists, right?
Well, tell us. Yeah.
We know that this is a time where he's a little older, but he's not as old as Mark Hamill is. So maybe they mean Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker. You know?
Yeah, I feel you right there.
Ringer.
Let's hit a timeout on that. You know, I mean, you were making crazy predictions. So, well, not crazy, but hopefully this is a prediction that pans out. That'll be a nice pleasant surprise. But we do have Ahsoka Tano, right?
Yeah. Look at you putting my conspiracy theory to rest, man.
No, I mean, no. Maybe Luke and Ahsoka kind of team up in some way. That would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. But we have to wait to the end of October for this. That's when the series premieres, or season 2 premieres, October 30th. By the way, I don't know if you all noticed, some Easter eggs in there. You had Tatooine with the Sand People. I think the Bantha. I can't remember what that creature's called. Sasha Banks from WWE is in there. Is she playing Sabin Wren? Maybe. She doesn't have the skin tone quite right for it, but she is in a hood in a dark kind of cloudy area. We had X-Wing fighters chaperoning, Mandalorian's ship, as well as chasing it through clouds. Bespin, possibly. I don't know. Speeder bikes, TIE fighters. You know, people are saying that Boba Fett's, if you look closely, Boba Fett's, his jetpack is hanging off one of those speeder bikes that Mandalorian's on. And maybe they make a trip to Hoth. So there's just so much to be excited about with that trailer. I was super pumped. Absolutely excited. I cannot wait. But we have to wait till October 30th. We're also going to have to wait for another project that we should all be excited about, too, that Chris is going to get into right now.
Yeah. Again, more Marvel goodness. Another Disney Plus announcement. This is like a 1-2 punch here because we got She-Hulk news. Now, earlier this week, we got an announcement that Marvel Studios is bringing on director, the Marry Me director, Kate Coiro, to direct the majority of the show's episodes for the She-Hulk Disney Plus series. But just 2 days later, we got the announcement that Canadian actress Tatiana Maslany is going to be playing Jennifer Walters, a.k.a. She-Hulk. Maslany is an Emmy award-winning actress, best known for her roles in Orphan Black and HBO's Perry Mason. The really awesome thing about this is that Mark Ruffalo has already chimed in. He hopped on the Twitter, basically welcoming Maslany, quote, to the family. He said, "Welcome to the family." So really cool to see him, chiming in on this. And hey, maybe we'll see a guest appearance here and there from Mark Ruffalo's Hulk on the show.
That would be amazing. I love hearing this news because, again, they're in pre-production for all of these series. They're going to, as soon as restrictions lift, they're going to start. Actually, they're planning on starting to shoot this in February. That's right around the corner, people. Right around the corner for a delivery, probably end of year 2021. So we're about a year away from potentially seeing, the She-Hulk series. And that's just fantastic news. Something we should all be excited about. What we, also still be on the lookout for these She-Hulks, Savage She-Hulks #1, her first appearance. It's they're only going to get more expensive from here. So I would highly recommend. This is the biggest announcement they're going to have before a trailer comes out. They may have some more other casting news as well. Maybe they'll officially announce that Ruffalo will be part of the series. But I would be looking out for these issues right now. They're going to spike. They'll probably come down a little bit before they'll go real high again. So just kind of a friendly reminder. But yeah, super excited about She-Hulk. And we also got more MCU news right before we went on air here. Can you believe that? So we're not that prepared for it, but we do have Miss Marvel news. Hollywood Reporter had an exclusive saying that Miss Marvel finds directors in Pakistani Oscar winner and Bad Boys for Life filmmakers. So they have their directors on board for the Miss Marvel series. That is exciting as well because she's becoming a fan favorite rather quickly. Her books are absolutely skyrocketing. Again, she is another one that you're going to want to watch out for in terms of being a collector. Super exciting. It's a super exciting time because, again, they announced the director for She-Hulk earlier this week. A few days later, they announced Tatiana was going to be playing the She-Hulk. So we may have a casting news for Miss Marvel any day now as well.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. You know, she's just the video game is seeing success. You know, she's really like the key lead in that game. This is this to me, and what I really want to speak on to this news is we talked about it a lot here too, where you know when you think about creating diverse stories that are you know worldwide culturally. And Jim Lee talked about that at Fandom, where he talked about, look, you know, the market for comic books is growing. It is worldwide right now. And we have so much possibility to appeal to so many different markets, so many different cultures, so many different types of peoples. And what I talked about is like, if we want to do this right, we just can't create the characters to look and act and sound a certain way. We need to get the people behind the scenes to represent these characters correctly. And that's what Marvel Studios is doing here, getting, you know, a Muslim creative team behind a Muslim character. You know, just like what we saw with Wonder Woman, you got a strong a female director to produce a female lead film. All these different kind of things. You know, this is what I really enjoyed about this news, keeping it to where you can get individuals within the creative process that have lived in these environments and have lived to tell these stories themselves through their own lenses, that they can take these to the characters to make them even more authentic. So that is what really spoke to me when I read this news.
Agree. It's all about diversity, and that's just important for not only people to tell those stories, but for people, the audience, to be able to relate to characters that they feel are like them. But moving on to our last story, Chris. Our last story. Again, more MCU news to be happy about. What do we got, Chris?
Yeah, and guys, after this news, if you guys aren't subscribed to Disney Plus yet, I mean, man, because it's all Disney Plus, really, but it's still a good thing. So, WandaVision, we've been so delayed. You know, we're supposed to have Falcon and Winter Soldier right now, but good news is WandaVision will be released this year, guys. We only have 2.5 more months in 2020. We don't have an official release date yet for the show, but Marvel did come out and state that with their slate of 2020 releases, WandaVision will be included. So again, you know, whether that's in a month from now, in October, or maybe, you know, looking at a release mid-December for a real good you know, holiday kind of push. Hey, I'm all for it. Like I said, we have 2.5 weeks. We're going to get it before year end. Yeah. I mean, sigh of relief right there in my book. I think too, one thing it does state too, though, is that, you know, and we've talked about this before on the show, Marvel knows that all of this is connected. And while most likely Falcon and Winter Soldier can be okay in terms of continuity, you know, and how it affects all the different stories, we're okay with pushing that back. This tells me that they're saying, look, we have to get WandaVision out, because that's really a lot of stuff on the back end of that are lingering, because we have to have this first.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Black Widow is still hanging there in limbo, basically. You know, there was a lot of reports saying Mulan did very well with their $30 premium plus kind of one, you know, lump sum. You get to watch it until December when it's actually on the service. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, honestly, we see it on that platform at this point, because they're going to have to pay another $100 million in marketing if they release it next year. But WandaVision being confirmed to come out, that's an interesting statement. As they've said before, this is going to be something that we haven't seen from Marvel. This is going to be a weird, wild series that probably ties into the next Doctor Strange film. As you can see, there are many kind of different settings that they have in terms of sitcoms. You have the 50s, you have the 80s, you have a ton of different types of settings. So we can speculate all we want, but it's just good to hear that we will have something MCU related that will be released this year. So
and keep in mind, this will now be the first MCU Disney Plus that we get to see.
Yeah, it's super exciting. Again, so let's just hope for Black Widow and potentially Falcon Winter Soldier. Let's just hope. So that is the news for the week. Again, It was packed, wild news, super excited. But we are super excited for this next segment that we have. We did this once. We did this last month for the first time with Jada Butcher from Pressable Defects. This segment is called All In. What comic book are you all in on? Whether it be to flip, whether it be to make some money, whether it be to trade up for a bigger book, or one that you just are dying to have in your personal collection or do have that you're super proud to show off. We have a very special guest tonight. Matt, a.k.a. the boy who had 7, is with us here today to tell us his all in, his Silver Age, his modern, his Silver Age, his Bronze, and his modern. Woo! It has been a long week. So, everybody, please welcome Matt. Matt, how are you?
Man, I'm doing so good. Good news stuff, man. I like the segment before this is.
Oh my gosh!
A lot of exciting news.
Yeah, if you're a comic book fan, you have to be excited at least about at least one of those things that we mentioned today, because it is just, again, we are thirsting for this content, and we're going to get some rather soon. So, anyways, thank you so much for joining us. We have you here for All In. Again, this is books. These are books that you are showing off from your personal collection, whether it be to flip, whether it be to make some money, whether it be to trade up for a bigger book, or something you are just so proud to own. So, you have quite an extensive collection. We see you on Instagram. Actually, y'all should be following. By the way, the boy who had 7, his YouTube link is in the description below. Please subscribe to him now. Yes. But we also have his Instagram handle right here, which I'm going to bring up right now. There we go. It's a long one, but it's worth the follow, because this guy you've been posting 9.8s, 109.8s, haven't you? Your top 109.8s.
Yep, been doing that, man. I think I'm on number 15 or something. So we got 15 to 1 to go. So we're getting there, almost done.
Everybody, he has quite the collection. Y'all need to be following him. Follow him right now on YouTube and the Instagram. But you are here to show off what you are all in on. So let's start you off with your Silver Age book, shall we?
Let's do it. All right, man. So this is a book that I'm all in for because of so many reasons. This is Fantastic Four, number 48, first appearance of Galactus and the Silver Surfer. I love this book, number 1, because the read is excellent. If you have not read the Galactus trilogy, you need to jump on this, okay? Such a good story. So I've got kind of 3 things that I go by when I collect books, when I get all in on them. The first thing is I've got to get a book that means something to me. When I first got into collecting, I was all over the place. I was grabbing everything that I saw like a kid in a candy store. And I decided, once I started maturing in my own collecting, that whenever I buy a book, it's got to mean something to me. So love this story. Silver Surfer is one of my favorite characters. And so that's why I'm all in with that part. Number 2 is I've got to get it for the right price at the right time. If you get the book when the news is already broken, it's too late. So you got to get this at the right price at the right time. And that leads me to number 3. I've got 7 kids, guys. That's why I'm the boy who had 7. So there's nothing that I own that I will not sell to take care of my family. Stuff happens. May have to get rid of a book here or there to pay the bills or to do whatever we need to do. So I've got to get a book that is at the right price, so in the future I might be able to sell it. So I'm all in this book because we haven't had Galactus or the Silver Surfer or the Fantastic Four in the MCU. I think this is a book that when that does happen, we get one of the 3, it's just going to blow up and be crazy. I tried to buy this in a 9.0 about 2 years ago before Disney got the rights to the Fox characters. And it was about $2,000. Now that book's going for $6,000 to $8,000. It just depends. So, I mean, this thing's already blowing up with just that happening. I wonder what's going to happen when these guys show up in the MCU. So when you guys break the news on the show, I'm going to get ready to flip.
I love that pick right there. Galactus is an iconic villain. He is one we are going to see more of. They did not. Let me ask your opinion. Yeah. What did you think of What did you think of Galactus on the big screen with that Fantastic Four film?
Man, come on, man.
I knew the answer.
That was so disheartening. That is not Galactus. That was just some kind of crazy storm, right? But no, I mean, I enjoyed the movies for what they were. It was exciting to see the Fantastic Four. Silver Surfer looked pretty cool. But just the story wasn't written well. The execution was really poor. And if you're going to do that to Galactus, there's no way that movie's gonna
Yeah.
be anything worth remembering, you know?
So that being said, oops, there goes my light.
Woo, there goes
Galactus.
Galactus.
Am I right? They owe us Galactus on the big screen. So you better believe he's coming. So you better believe that book is going to continue to grow and is actually just gonna jump. So
you know, when I did my top 10 cosmic, I said just this last week, before I went into my top 10, and they were ranked, you know, for not necessarily specifically for value, but for, you know, the relevance to if we're going to see these characters in the MCU. But I said, before I even went into my top 10, I said Fantastic Four 48 and 49 are not on this list because you can't even come close to those. And especially 48. And yeah, you even got your lower mid grades that have really doubled in price over like the last 18 months. So this is such a book, and to Matt's point, where it's been increasing so consistently for the last couple of years that, like you said, if there's any announcement of either Silver Surfer or Galactus, which in probably in the next 5 to 8 years, we're probably going to get both of those. And when that happens, this book is going to be one of those books that's really going to be close to your Amazing Spider-Man #1s. You know, I don't want to put it right there with your AF-15s or Fantastic Four #1s, but you know, this book is going to be out of reach for everyone. So when you look at right now, and you know, for me, I'm looking at it and it's like, is it out of my range? You know, yes. But if you're a collector that has, say, $800 in their pocket right now, and say you could get maybe just a 2.0 for $800 right now. If I had $800 in my pocket and I could either say I could go buy maybe a few random Bronze Age keys for $100 and some random dollar books, or, you know, I would not do it, and I would put all my chips into that one basket and get this book, because this is going to be that book that, like Matt said, if something happens, we got to put the kids through college or we got to pay a bill, you're gonna see your money times. It's just it's done.
You know,
Absolutely.
On this book, I have one of my biggest regrets, because about 3 or 4 years ago, I was looking at a 9.0 white pages on that book. It was about $2,000, a little under 2,000. I was debating, because at that time I hadn't spent that type of money on a comic book, and I'm like, I can't do it. But I was like, it's gonna blow up. So then the news broke that Disney's gonna get the Fox characters. I jumped online, put it in my cart, was filling out PayPal, all the information. Right when I pressed buy, it's like, this item's no longer available. So I mean, man, for $2,000 to $6,000
all right, you have a nice looking copy though. Let's
7.5 isn't too shabby.
Exactly. So again, all right. So that's your Silver Age. Now, let's see your Bronze. What do we got?
All right, man. This is probably my favorite book in my collection. This is Amazing Spider-Man #129, 9.8 white pages. So this is a beast book. This actually is my wife's book. She is a humongous Punisher fan, and I bought this for her. And this is a great one. But here's my thing on this one, okay? It's my wife's book, so it means a lot to me. She loves that character. I got this for her to be able to, you guys know I'm a 9.8 guy. You kind of heard it. I love 9.8. So to get her a 9.8 of her favorite character, it's my favorite book that I've ever purchased. This book, I got it at the right price. After the Netflix show ended, the prices started dropping pretty big time. And I got this for a great, great deal. All right. And then here's the thing. See this dude in the MCU? I personally believe this book's going to go and shoot up. So, I mean, for my second book tonight, I'm all in on this book because it just fits all those categories that I said again. I really think that this book is undervalued and underappreciated. There's a cult following on the Punisher. And I don't know, I'm hoping this book and a 9.8 can eventually get to those Hulk 181, Werewolf by Night 32 prices. But we'll see. I just can't wait to see this guy in the MCU. So,
Chris, any comments here?
I agree 100%. Yeah, that's probably my favorite book of all time.
Yeah,
And I agree. I absolutely agree. I believe that there's such similarities to Hulk 181, just with the characters themselves between Wolverine and Punisher. I do believe that when you got somebody like Hugh Jackman to do what he did for almost 20 years, bringing that character to new audiences, new generations of audiences, that really helped Hulk 181 continue to increase to that. I call it that bronze. They're the Bronze Age Amazing Fantasy 15s, the Fantastic Four #1s.
Yeah.
So I do believe that book is having that same potential as in that same route. I do want to see John Bernthal return in the MCU and play that character for 10 plus years, man.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Woo.
They can do it, guys. They can absolutely do it. And you, Matt, you said it. He has a cult following.
Yep.
He had a cult following before the Netflix show, before he was in Daredevil, and then had his 2 seasons on Netflix. So, Feige is looking at this character, trying to figure out a way to incorporate him into the Disney. We all know that Disney doesn't like to get too graphic, but you have Hulu, right? You got Hulu as an outlet now to be able to do those things. So, again, I agree 100% with what you guys both said. This book is still going to be on the up and up. And I even agree with you, Matt, that it is undervalued at this point, too, and iconic. And your wife is very lucky to have that in a 9.8.
Thanks, man.
9.8, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so now we're going to move on to the final book. This one, guys, I'm excited for because I find this one very interesting. This is Matt's modern day book. Here we go.
Yep. Here it is, guys. Century #1. Man, okay. You have not read this story, and a lot of people haven't. For some reason, Century came out. He's a newer character. Was this 2005? 2000. Year 2000. A lot of people have skipped this story, but this is in my top 5 favorite comic reads of all time. The story is told in such a way that it reveals things a little bit at a time. The character himself is amazing. He has an internal struggle that is one of the best internal struggles in comic books. And the reason I really love this book so much, and I think I chose it tonight because I'm all in with it, is because if they were to do this story in the movies, in the MCU, it could change everything. And so, I mean, if you guys have read the story, you may know what I'm talking about. If you haven't read the story, get on it and then watch this segment back again. But this character, I think, is one of those small characters nobody really cares about. It's an inexpensive book. You can get this for about $250 right now in a 9.8. But if he ever shows up in the MCU, people are going to fall more in love with this character, and he's going to get a humongous, humongous following. And so, I mean, New Avengers, Bendis, with the Illuminati and all that, this guy, what he does to Carnage is absolutely incredible. The story's amazing. So I say get on this book. It's got tons and tons of potential. Yeah. So that was my modern all-in book for tonight.
That book is excellent. Like, that book is everything you said. I cannot emphasize to the audience anymore. Like, listen to Matt. The story it'll blow your mind because he's an iconic character within the Marvel universe. You may not know of him, but reading that, it's the way they told the story, not only the psychological kind of approach they took to it, but the way it's just, I thought it was brilliant. I read it a year ago for the first time. I was like, I'll check this one out on Marvel Unlimited. I've seen Century around here and there. You read that book and you're hooked. I promise you all. I promise you that. Give it a try. Let us know what you think. Let Matt know what you think. That's a fantastic book, and I can't express enough what you said. I'm totally on board with that.
The character, his powers are pretty insane. I mean, he takes a super soldier serum that's been mixed with a bunch of stuff from Weapon X and a whole bunch of other programs, and it's like 1,000,000 times stronger than Captain America's super serum. Then, as he's doing that, this void opens in the cosmos, and this being comes into him. I mean, come on, guys! He moves a second in the future. There's just all kinds of crazy stuff.
We don't want to give too much away because it's literally mind blowing. Century #1, guys. Check that book out. Matt, thank you so much for sharing these books with us. You guys have to follow. You have to follow Matt, the boy who had 7, talks comic books. Is his Instagram. His YouTube link is in the description below. Y'all need to click on that and subscribe. Matt, I'm not sure if you have plans for the rest of the evening, but you are more than welcome to hang out with us, or you can attend. I think there's a party going on in the next room of some sorts for you. Is that correct?
I'll stick around for a bit if that's cool with you.
What's that?
I'll stick around for a bit if that's cool with you guys.
We are absolutely ecstatic that you will be sticking around, because right now we have the top 10. We have Cover Price's top 10 hottest comics of the week. Every week we check out Cover Price's top 10 hottest comics based on sales data, and they deliver each week. This list is usually released on Monday or Tuesday. Our shows are live on Friday. We like to talk about what they were talking about, and then just deliver to you, where Chris goes into like 3 books that are interesting to him. And Matt, we'd like to know what your thoughts are as well. So here we go. We're going to get into this right now, the top 10 hottest comic books of the week. Here we go. At number 10, we have Silk, number 1, her first solo series. Number 9, we have Superboy, number 9, first King Shark, who will be in the Suicide Squad film. Number 8 is Spawn, number 309, the Gunslinger variant, which has been very hard to find. It was just released, I do believe, 2 weeks ago. At number 7, we have Marvel Knights, number 10. There's a lot going on with Venom, and that ties in. We're not going to talk too much about it, but there's a lot of rumors and leaks. Number 6, we have Amazing Spider-Man 361, the first Carnage. We all know what's up with that. That movie, There Will Be Carnage, is coming early next year. Venom 2, super excited about that. Black Panther number 5, the first Shiri is Black Panther. Number 4 is Death Metal, Legends of the Dark Knight. Number 1, the first appearance of the Robin King. This has been in the top 10 list for quite a while, in and out, and it's impressive. Number 3 is Amazing Fantasy. Number 7, number 2 is Black Panther number 2, the first appearance of Shuri. And number 1, Batman number 19, the retail appreciation variant. Chris, lots of things we could discuss here. But you have 3 books that have caught your eye.
Lots of things. I could have gone with Amazing Spider-Man 361, with all the hype around Carnage, but I decided to kind of go a different route again here. And again, I'm just gonna tell all the viewers, guys, I'm not talking about Black Panther right now. That's just me. I'm not doing it. So if you wanted me to do it, I apologize. Not going there.
Agreed.
Okay, number 3, Superboy, number 9. So I did this last week. With the Bloodsport issue, Superboy number 9. How I just look, anything Superboy that gets on a top 10 list is really cool to me, because I think Superboy, I know we could get spammed with Superman. We've gotten spammed with them over the years. He's probably still to this day the most iconic character, but I really enjoyed a lot of Superboy stuff. I enjoyed this run. I read some of it as a kid. I enjoyed the Superboy New 52 stuff, believe it or not. Maybe that's not a very popular opinion, but I just like Superboy, okay? And to have another comic book from this era of DC show up in the top 10, first King Shark. Look, this proves to me that books can get hot for more than one reason, and it's a good thing when that happens. Now, keep in mind, there was a 9.8 going for almost $300, so that's kind of crazy and a bit wacky, but we know how the 9.8 market is right now. You can't hate on that. You can still get this book raw for, a good, decent amount of price where you're not breaking your bank. Is it inflated right now? Hey, that's arguable. There is a lot of hype around the King Shark character. We could see this drop, but look, anything that we value outside of monetary value, we value the character, we value the story, whatever reason is that we value these books, those are going to drive that monetary value up. And you could take a book from this era. I don't know the print run on this book, but I'm sure it was a lot more than what we're seeing with new books today. And it just shows that the price of this book shows that there is a high demand for it. Now get this, $599 and a 9.8 with the DC Universe logo. That is wild. That's just wild.
Matt, you got thoughts on this?
Man, I'm just always weird. I agree with Chris. You love it for your own personal reasons, then spend your money on it, man.
Mhm.
But if you're getting caught up in the hype and you're like, oh shoot, it's on the list, I gotta go get it. It's too late. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Let it be. Get it once it comes back down.
Yep.
We talk about the FOMO, guys.
Yep.
The FOMO, it hits us. It hits all of us. But this is a 90s book. That print run has got to be outrageous. Let's all be honest. King Shark is not going to be you know what? I could be wrong. I'll let our guru here, our tea reader, is that the term? I don't know. The guy that tells the future, Chris. I'll leave that to him. But I don't think
card
King
reader
Shark become like a staple in the DCEU or
yeah.
no,
You know,
too, but
yeah, and you're right. That's the thing. It's this, especially when you think about villains. You know, you got to really weigh on the villain. Now, you know, if this was like the first appearance of a new Superboy or something like that, maybe be a little different. But you got to really kind of take villains with a grain of salt. I think this villain is always going to be a fun villain. And that could be used in different ways, whether it's through DC's animated films, which they've done really well with. But yeah, so when you think of it like that, and to just go off of what Matt said, and I usually say this on the show too. I always say, look, it's like once you get to that point where it's on the list, just like Matt said, you know, you have to be understanding to why you would want to grab the book in the first place. And like I said, for me, if I was into this character or just enjoyed this run or want to hop on the bandwagon for whatever reason, I obviously wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't do it now. But secondly, I wouldn't be going after a 9.8 at all. You know, so it's really about why you value it. But look, regardless of the reason, people are buying this book, and that excites me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so people are buying this next book as well that you want to talk about. So
yeah, and this is fun. I always like to do this because when you get a character that gets hot and you see the trends of what book gets hot first appearance, well, second appearance, what's the next best thing, and so forth, cameos versus full. Well, second, I picked Silk #1. It's obviously Silk's first solo story. We've had Amazing Spider-Man #4 on this top 10 list for weeks, off and on as well over the last few months, with the announcements going on with this character, to seeing her be either pulled into something possibly MCU related, but more importantly into the Sonyverse with the Into the Spider-Verse animated films. Look, this is a character that is not going away. And look, if you want to compare this to what I was just talking about, villains, where you take them with a grain of salt, this is a protagonist that I am not taking with a grain of salt personally. Just like Miles, just like Kamala. I think that this character is a character of the future. I don't think she's going away. And look, if you're not willing to spend the 200 to 300 bucks on the Amazing Spider-Man 4, wherever that's out right now, this is a good place to start. You're looking at $190 for a 9.8 CGC. I mean, that's not horrible considering the hype. But again, you know, this is a good time where if you are looking at this book, don't get fixated on just the 9.8s, or look at a high grade raw that you can still get maybe for 50 bucks and give it a press, or take a chance of sending off to CGC and maybe getting that 9.8. But that kind of goes into where, you know, I don't think 9.4s and 9.6 don't get enough love, but I want to be cautious about talking about that right now because we got the 9.8 guru on. Regardless, I'm loving the hype around this character right now for sure.
Yeah.
Matt, thoughts?
Yeah, man, you said something that I thought I'd run with. Don't buy it in a 9.8. Find some raw copies, look them over. If you really want a 9.8, submit that yourself. That's probably the best route to go because you're going to look at spending 40 bucks and you maybe get that 9.8 opposed to $180. So,
right.
And you know what? I mean, great character. I don't think this character is going anywhere either. I think we're going to see all of the Spider-Verse coming out and they'll be here for many, many years. And so if you love the character, get the book, get it graded yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I really enjoy the way this story was told too. Of the possibility of this actually being able to happen, and this isn't spoiling anything. She came out 6 years ago, so don't be mad, everybody. But the same spider that bit Peter also bit another student in that class too, and that's just completely plausible. And it was just a really fast for me. I really enjoyed the read, and I really like this character. And I agree with both of you guys. This character has a lot of upside to her. The rumor is she's going to have her own series via Sony on Amazon. Hopefully, it's within the MCU in some way. But she will definitely be. Let's actually, Chris, I'll ask you. You can predict the future. Will she be into the Spider-Verse too? I would think so.
Yeah, at least to some extent. Somewhere now, maybe not this key role, but I think we're gonna see, just like at the end we saw. Remind me, we were talking about this before the show. Old age memory. Who did we get a sneak peek of?
Spider-Man 2099.
2099. Yeah, right.
Miguel Herrera. Yeah, definitely. So again, guys, exactly what you guys was. Don't buy this in a 9.8, but try and go hunting out there. These issues are out there if you guys put the effort in and try and find it, and then submit it for your own 9.8. Okay, now moving on to your final book of the week, Chris.
Yes. So I talked about this book last week as well, and I brought it up with a skeptical approach. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting because now it's at number 1. I believe it was at like 3 or 4 last week. Yeah, it hit number 1 this week. That's Batman number 92, the retailer appreciation variant. This is the dynamic of this book and where it's at right now is really interesting. And if you're kind of a collector that really wants to understand the market, looking at what this book has been doing is probably a real positive thing for you to do. Because even when we talked about it last week, it was already dropping in terms of fair market value because it hit a high of $355. By the time that we talked about it, though, it was dropping some. It's dropped even more this week to a fair market value of about $188, wow. But it hit number 1. So there's a bit of a balance here, and it kind of talks about what Matt was saying about my number 3 pick, the Superboy book, and this can kind of maybe educate some folks who get into that FOMO, especially with the variant hype right now. A book can continue to be hot at a value that doesn't necessarily need to be bloated. And what I'm saying by that is this: it got hot. It peaked in the top 10, but it hit a threshold where people were saying, you know what, that's too much. I'm good. They backed out. The demand dropped and the price dropped. And then people said, okay, now it's kind of looking where I'm looking to invest. Let's get into it. And it's leveled that fair market value out and people are still buying it. So I want to keep my eye on this because we talk about, what's the long term on these type of variant books, but I'm still going to think that this fair market value is going to continue to drop some, but I like that it's at least gained steam. It hit number 1 at a lower fair market value. That's interesting. Matt, what do you think about that?
Man, these new modern variants, not my cup of tea, man. When I buy them to flip them, and I buy them to flip them quick. And so Punchline, if she sticks around for the next 20 years, it may be a great book to have. You know what I'm saying? But you want to put 20 years in $180 in the 20 years, or you want to put that in some Silver Age key or, something that you know what I mean? So I'm not a big fan of it, but we'll see what the market's doing. These variants are going crazy. Everybody's buying them. Batman Who Laughs is still around. Robin is coming now. We'll see what happens. Yeah,
I'm subscribing to the FOMO on this one, guys. Like this is one. I think they were delivered one issue. Not every store got this too. I guess you had to have a certain amount of copies ordered. That was an ambiguous number that a lot of shops didn't understand. So a lot of shops didn't get it. And there's a lot of owners that were pissed off about it. But to your point, Chris, the fact that this has dropped in price but hit number 1, there's something to be said about that. And I do think Punchline, I just read issue 98 yesterday. I still have 99 to get to. I like what she is. I like what she's about. I think she will stick around because you do have the kind of the rivalry between her and Harley, which I find interesting. So something to watch out for. Again, again, what Matt said, if she sticks around for 20 years, this could be, because this is her first appearance. Am I right? So this could be one of the rare first appearance of her first appearance. So, it was Hella Risen, and it was 89.
Kind of first appearance.
Yeah, it was
3.
89.
Yeah, it was a 3, and then 89. And
So,
then there was the controversy of what was the cameo and
Yeah,
there we go. We don't need to get into that.
this is
My
the
bad
third
on that.
cameo.
But anyway,
right.
this is an interesting one to have, and it's an interesting. It's an interesting one to watch. For me personally, I'm not buying into it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'm not spending $188 on that. So
If
very to your cup of tea, go for it.
Right. I do want to say, and I'm going to make, and I actually posted a video on my channel today kind of talking about this, and I kind of fooled my audience. I labeled the video the 3 keys. And for those that didn't watch the video, I'm spoiling it, but I said the 3 key secrets to comic collecting. And I just kind of did that to pull people in, and I said, there's really only one, and it's collecting how you love. Right. And then I went into all the variables that in terms of what that could mean. And I bring this up right now, talking about this book, is because I think, just like Matt said, I'm not a variant guy. I'll pay cover price for a B variant because I like the artist or I like the cover. I will never pay tons of money or hundreds of dollars for a variant. That's not me. But I don't think people give these variant collectors the benefit of the doubt. Now, I know that there's a lot of speculators and flippers in the market, and look, that's part of the hobby. But I do believe, I am confident that there are a lot of collectors out there that just love variants so much, and they know what they're doing. They know that they're putting this money out there, and I think they're okay with that. I think there's a larger portion of those people out there than people give credit for. And, because I think the variant market has been around for 10 plus years now, when you think about it being a popular sub-market of the hobby. And it's continued to, grow. And I don't think it's slowing down anytime soon. So, look, if people are out there wanting to spend this money, I'm not. That's your money. That's your pocketbook. Sure. That's your wallet. Go ahead.
Very true.
Right?
Collect what you love. That's what it comes down to. So anyways, that's our top 10 hottest comic books of the week, based off of Cover Price's data and Chris's interesting 3 picks. We'll do it again next week. But right now, we have a brand new segment we're super excited to share with you. Tom Tormey came on a few weeks ago just for an interview, focusing around cameos versus first appearance, and he's just a comic book historian with a wealth of knowledge. So we thought it'd be a good idea to do a weekly segment with him. Called the Cosmic Comic History Minute. Gosh, I cannot spit it out.
10 times fast.
So Tom's going to come on, give us a good juicy nugget of some comic book history, and then we'll discuss it. So here we go. It's about She-Hulk, which we already discussed, but this is pretty fascinating. Give it a watch.
Hi everybody, I'm Tom Tormey from Cosmic Comic History, and this is your Cosmic Minute, and today we're talking She-Hulk. The internet is going wild for casting news for the She-Hulk Disney Plus series, but did you know that She-Hulk only exists today because of a TV series? In the late 70s, early 80s, Marvel and CBS were running high on The Incredible Hulk. Years earlier, ABC's The $6 Million Man was a huge hit for the station. It was so successful that a spin-off series, The Bionic Woman, was launched. The spin-off was another huge hit. Stan Lee noticed that Marvel didn't own copyrights on female versions of its heroes like Spider-Man and The Incredible Hulk, the latter of which was on CBS. Marvel became concerned that CBS might cash in on the Hulk's fame with a female version of the Green Goliath. CBS could make a ton of money and not have to pay Marvel a dime. So in 1980, Stan Lee, along with artist John Buscema, created She-Hulk. Not for storytelling purposes, not to move books, but simply to secure a copyright before someone else could.
Not for storytelling purposes, not for books, just for the copyright. That is fascinating. Tom, thank you so much. I look forward to this segment each and every week, but we're here to discuss it. I think Tom is in the comments section, so just if you want to have any questions about this, hit him up. But I find this absolutely fascinating. Stan Lee wasn't like, what would be great? a female Hulk. We have great story. No, he wanted to protect an IP, a potential IP from a network. I find that fascinating.
Yeah. Like, let's play chess here. Look, I mean, you got to be on your toes when it comes to business. And when you're thinking about the business side of things in a creative process, if the creative formula also works, then it's a win-win. And I think about, when you think about music as a musician, and I know both of you, are into music. You got some musical talent. So, I know for me, when I was, on a record label, and we get into situations to where we are so conscious of wanting to produce something for a market, it can take away from that creative process. And I've been in that situation plenty of times. But I think this is a situation where, you look at the creative genius behind, Stan and everyone else that was working on this to say, we need to take a business move, but we need to make sure that the creative process behind it is also fresh, genuine, and can speak to the audience instead of be this bland, dry kind of corporate push just to, like you said, gain an IP. So I think that speaks to the brilliance of the creative team that put that together back then in 1980, and look at where we are today. I mean, she's a character that I feel is ironically 40 years later just getting started in so many ways.
I mean, yeah, the hot news this week was the casting of She-Hulk. She's going to be in the MCU. She's going to have her own Disney Plus series. Those series are going to catapult those characters into the movies as well. She has a huge history ahead of her. She may be the only Hulk at some point, because Mark Ruffalo's tenure is going to end probably. So these are exciting times. But it's just fascinating to know where she started. Tom Tormey is just a wealth of knowledge, and I'm glad he's working with us each week on this. I love this segment. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, first I want to echo Tom. Wow, that was fantastic. I want to tune in to watch that again next week. So that was great. And She-Hulk's just getting started. I'm glad. I love history. Think about the history behind the comics and the things we love. It was really cool to find that out. And like Chris said, that team was good enough to put something behind that. Look at what's happening now. So it's going to be good.
Absolutely. And again, you guys are going to want to pick up those Savage She-Hulk #1. I cannot bring it up for some reason. No big whoop. But StreamYard's active monkey. But anyways, so yeah, once again, that y'all need to follow at Cosmic Comic History. His link is below in the description as well. Follow him on Instagram. Every day he posts something interesting. I guarantee you're going to get something out of it every day. He's one of my favorite people to follow on Instagram. I really, really do appreciate him, and I'm really, thankful and grateful that he will be working with us moving forward. Can't wait to see what he has next week. You guys have to stick around. Now, Here we go. Q&A. This is it. We made it, guys. Last part of the show. Don't have very many questions, but I do have. Here's Tom again. Stanley was notorious for gobbling up copyrights and IPs. I mean, let's all admit, Stan was a shrewd businessman as well. Like, he knew what he was doing. He had a plan. He laid it out in his vision as well. So we should all be thankful for Stan, but he knew exactly what he was doing. So again, we should all be grateful because She-Hulk is here. I don't see very many questions this week. I did see something about the lead for The Mandalorian not only playing The Mandalorian for half the season. I haven't heard that yet, but that's going to be interesting. What is Jeff and Chris's favorite hero? Funny you should ask.
Yeah, the same one, the same guy, right?
This guy.
Yeah.
Let's make that 3.
Yeah.
Get out of here, man. Well. Yeah, I'm going to give my personal history with Spider-Man. That was my first book I ever got. It was an all-detergent giveaway. I think we did a segment a long time ago when we first started, Chris. I wish it was out here. I wish I could pull it out, but I don't have it with me right now. But it just stuck with me. This character resonated with me. And as I grew older, I was always the smallest kid in my class, and I got my ass kicked. So I kind of related to that Peter Parker mentality and being able to be a hero. And you know, I love my parents to death. They instilled morality and ethics within me as well. But I feel like a character like Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and what Stan Lee did with these characters instilled that within me. And he's near and dear to my heart. I love him. He will always be my favorite character. And that's why I love him. You guys feel free to share, please.
Yeah. Matt, why don't you go? Go ahead.
You know what, man? I grew up watching Batman animated series. Batman's my second favorite character, but I couldn't relate with this billionaire. You know, that got to. I mean, he was awesome, and I just think about how cool he is. But I could relate with Peter. You know, all the struggles that he went through, the way he's selfless and he sacrifices. I mean, my goodness, Spider-Man 2, when he takes his mask off and Mary Jane sees him, like, dang, that's everything I just love about Spidey right there, man. He will sacrifice his own happiness to protect other people, and that really has always resonated with me. So I love him. I get him. And, you know, like you said, you know, my parents taught me things, and then these great fictional characters cemented those things, you know what I'm saying? Added to what I was already taught. So love Spidey.
I like that, man. Yeah. I mean, for me, what's interesting for me is, you know, my collection as a young kid was like Ninja Turtles, like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, and, you know, Fraggle Rock, and X-Men and Spider-Man, and in Captain America. Well, let me not get all into that now. Anyways, the point is, I was all over the place as a kid. And when you look at the superhero genre, though, you know, and you look at Marvel specifically, it was always really in the forefront. Spider-Man and I loved X-Men because my bigger brother and all of his friends were all into X-Men, so I got into X-Men. I really enjoyed Captain America. So as a kid, when it came to the superheroes, it was Spider-Man and Captain America. And as an adult, if I look back on it, I can't tell you why that it spoke to me then. I don't know. But what I do know is when I went through my dark time as a teenager and I came out of that, and as a young adult, I got back into comic books, Spider-Man spoke to me then in terms of both of the things that you guys brought up. You know, this kid, you know, I was bullied as a kid. Always. I was a little short dude. I was like 5'1" until my sophomore year of high school. And I dealt with a lot of things that I could personally relate to with this individual. So when I was coming out of that, say like in my early 20s, getting back into these books, and around then there like the Civil War event happened, and I loved Spider-Man's role. You know, we had a question like between right and wrong, and you know, make this really extreme tough decision that ended up eventually putting the people he loved in danger, which has always been a theme of him. Yep. But one thing that really stands out to me, and I don't want to get too deep or get too personal here, but about 8 years ago was a time, 8 to 10 years ago was a time period in my life after I had kids as a father that really was one of the hardest periods in my life. I ended up moving out of Richmond, trying to get my kids into an environment that I can raise them in. And I was reading during that time the Todd McFarlane era Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. And I can't really remember exactly off the top of my head what was going on. But I remember being up late one night and I was reading, and I was like just having a ton of anxiety and everything that was going on in my life. And I was reading this, and it was his relationship with Mary Jane, and they were having this talk. And I'm like, man, like this is like, for me and for those that know me, like this is as close as listening to that Tupac song. You know, it's like, you know, I feel hopeless, you know, like where he's speaking to me trying to save my life. And I'm like, this comic book is saving my life right now. It's like, and honestly, I've never had a comic book, even though there's been comic books. You know, there's a lot of messages in X-Men comic books. There's a lot of messages throughout comic books. Yeah. But there's never been a comic book that has really touched me in so many different stages of my life than with this character, Spider-Man. So sorry, I know that was kind of long-winded, but man, there's that long history, and you know, Spider-Man, man. I mean, yeah.
I think there's many. That's what makes these characters so multi-dimensional. We could all relate to something about them, and I that's what we all share. And it's interesting. Landon asked us that question. He's a Spider-Man fan as well. Let's not forget about Isaac Maynard, who has, Amazing Fantasy 15, I think in a 9.0.
Yes.
9.0. It is a 9.0. Okay, so thank you, Isaac, for always reminding us of that. And then, then there's people like, what's that?
He has an AF-15 and a 9.0?
Oh, yeah, he does. Although we haven't seen it. Well, actually, Chris, you said, I think you may have seen it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to where we all can take that trip to that private island that he's gonna buy. And
he says he's never getting rid of it. He's not getting rid of it. So we're not gonna see that. But Mike Sears, Batman for me. He can't stand Spider-Man. Exactly, to each his own. So yeah, and then Landon, who's 14, ripped Tupac. This kid, honestly,
Landon has he's taken in the quote. Landon, 14 years old. I say it. When I brought up I'm not saying I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that changed the world. This kid right here, man, he gives me hope. He's that brain, and I just appreciate all the comments that he's left on our shows and on videos and whatnot. And this kid is just a really good kid, man, and I'm glad that he can continue to look. He's watching us, and hopefully we're kind of inspiring him. But I'm telling you, him being here every night inspires us as well. So
absolutely,
appreciate you, man.
The fact that he's only collected for a year or two, and the knowledge that this guy has, kudos to you, Landon. Kudos for your passion. Kudos for everything. Keep being you, and we continue to enjoy seeing you each week. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's an update, guys. I do have an update on Isaac Maynard and his Amazing Fantasy 15. I'm never getting rid of my Amazing Fantasy 15. I love that book, my favorite book in my entire collection. Don't blame you. Don't blame me. We're just all jealous. We're all jealous. That's what it comes down to. So it's fair. All right, guys. And I'm just going to bring it up, Matt. That's amazing, pun intended. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. It's just always a blast, especially when we have a guest like Matt coming on here, just talking comics. I do want to mention that if you guys are familiar with 3 Men in a Basement, they are running an auction right now. They're always fun to hang out with, even if you're not looking to buy books. Go check them out. Their link is in the description below. They are live right now. So once we kind of end this show, head on over to their show. Give them a follow, give them a shout out, and maybe buy a book you may see that you've been looking for. So anyways, stop. Time out. Matt, great Warlock.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes.
But Matt, thank you seriously. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to the audience for joining us. It's always a blast. We look forward to doing this again next week. I mean, I don't know how we're going to top it, guys. I don't know how we're going to top next week, but the news was outrageous this week, but we look forward to it. So anyways, Chris, Matt, any parting words?
Matt?
Thanks for having me. It was a blast. Man, this show was really good tonight, guys. You got something special here, and I need to share this more with the community because more people need to show up and watch this.
Appreciate
that, man. Hey, I want to say the same thing for you guys. And not only I hope everyone in the chat has checked out the Boy Who Had Seven's channel, but Matt runs an amazing show, Comic Gories. Honestly, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'll say it a million times. This is some of the best I'll call it television. Maybe I'm old school by calling it that. But look, I don't have cable anymore, and I am so good with watching fellow YouTubers. And so Matt just is doing an amazing things. John Talks Comics is there every show as well. So just some amazing guys doing amazing things. Be sure to check that show out, guys. I can't talk about it enough. So thanks, thank you, Matt, for being here. You definitely made the show be even more special this week. So
absolutely, guys, follow him on IG right here. Boy Who Had 7 _talks_comic books. Follow his YouTube down below. It's in the description. I'm not going to read off a URL. But that's about it. That's all we got for tonight. Everybody be safe. Have a good week. We will see y'all next week. Stay safe. Bye.